I thought maybe what we do today is start with doing a bond that's a premium. I showed you how to do a discount last time. Premium is exactly the same thing, except guess what? So is a premium instead of a discount. Entries are very similar, except we record a premium instead of a discount, right? And then we have to amortize a premium instead of amortizing a discount. It's just not a big deal. Can somebody tell me when a bond will sell for a discount and when it will sell for a premium? Get your head around this one. If you do, it really helps. Because you know what you expect when you start calculating the value of the bond, right? When would a bond sell? Let's start with the discount, because that's the one we did more of last time. We calculated both of them, right? So that's the one we did more of. When would a bond sell for a discount? When does nobody like the bond, and therefore you have to reduce the price? What's the deal? When the what?
The market rate is higher than the coupon.
When the market rate is higher than the coupon rate. So the market rate, or effective or yield rate, whatever you want to call it, right? We use those terms interchangeably. Okay, so when that market rate is, say, 10%, and the stated rate on the bond is only 7%, who wants to earn 7 when the risk level justifies 10? On other investments with the same risk, you could get 10. Why would you take the 7? You wouldn't. So what happens? You have to lower the price, people will bid less. If you're going to sell it at all, you have to accept less, don't you? And if you keep doing this over and over, what's going to happen? The market is going to just keep going down, but the value of the bond will go down, which means the discount's going up, right? Because the value is less than the face amount, okay? As it keeps going down, what happens, you guys? It goes all the way down until it effectively pays 10%. Yeah, the value goes down. Okay, well, when would the premium happen then? The reverse, of course. Let's say the bond is a 7% bond. What would the market have to be? When would it sell for par? If the bond has a stated rate 7%, what if the market rate is 7%? It'll sell for its face amount, or par, right? Means the same thing, par and face. Okay, you got it? So when would it sell for more? When would people really like 7%? If the market says the riskiness of the company, right, and expects inflation at the time, right, is what? Something less, so maybe 5%, right? The market only expects 5% out of this company's bond, right, based on their risk level, and they're offering 7. Everybody wants it, don't they? And what do? They'll bid the price up, bid the price up, bid the price up, right? It's always negotiations. Markets are negotiations. I mean, they're happening fast, but they're negotiations. Things don't sell for whatever people ask. Things sell for, I guess, what they're worth by definition. I once worked with a guy, he was great. He says, people don't get paid what they're worth, they get paid what they get. And I always liked that, it's pretty good. But in terms of if somebody's jealous of your salary, you don't have to justify what you earn. Right? You just say you get what you get. I negotiated for it, I got it. They offered it to me, I got it, I took it, that's it. So it's just what it is. I always thought that was a really good thing for somebody who's the highest paid person as the president of the company. He made a lot more than all of us. But was he worth it? You didn't know. You got it. Right? You didn't know how to do a lot of stuff. It's really valuable. But you got it. And so, maybe it might be a good way to look at it. But in terms of exchanging things, how do we know what something's worth? When you buy a car, there's 2 cars sitting in the lot, and they are exactly the same price. I mean, everything is the same. And the sticker price, therefore, in the window is exactly the same. You and I go in, we both like exactly the same car. You're a good negotiator. You pay $19,000. I pay $24,000. What was yours worth? Yours was worth $19,000. What was mine worth? $24,000. Exact same car. It's true. Now, their market values after we just bought them might be the same if we were to try to sell them, right? But for that transaction, yours was worth $19,000, mine was worth $24,000. Okay? Everybody got it? And so on these bonds, it's whatever people agree to exchange it at. It's what it's worth, huh? But you have to decide how much you're willing to exchange it for. Am I willing to buy it or not? We're going to value everything. And that discounted present value that we've shown you how to do now in the last chapter and in this one, that's how we value it. How much am I willing to pay? I'm UPS. I'm buying a jet airplane, right, to deliver freight with. I estimate all the cash that's going to come in from customers over the life of the airplane. I'm not kidding. And when, how much and when. I estimate all the costs for the pilots, for the people loading it, for the fuel, for the insurance, for the taxes. Everybody got the idea? I estimate all the cash that's going to go out and when it's going to go out. And I think the difference between the cash in every year and the cash out every year. And I know the cash flows every year. And then I figured what the risk level is of my business, right? And that determines my interest rate that I'm going to discount it at. And I discount all those future cash flows back to now. I'm not kidding, they really do this. These are expensive airplanes, right? We're talking big freight carrier airplanes, right? Depending on the number of them, the name of them, Boeing makes them, Airbus makes them. But anyway, when they get done with that calculation, they know how much they're willing to pay for the airplane. But guess what? The people selling the airplane try to make the same calculation. Because of course, that's the maximum UPS wants to pay. They'd be happy to pay less. So does Boeing need to know how much UPS ought to pay for the plane too? Otherwise they'll get too little. Because of course they want as much as possible. And you negotiate until you agree. And if you don't agree, guess what? There's no deal. UPS is going to pay more than they think it's worth. Boeing's not going to sell it for less than they think it's worth. You got to agree. Okay, these bonds aren't any different. Okay, same deal. So anyway, yeah, so you guys are good. If I give you a problem, I'm not going to tell you if it's a bond discount or a bond premium. Why would I do that? I know they do in the book, but it's silly, right? Nobody tells you, right? So if you see a stated rate that is less than the market rate, what's going to happen? Nobody wants it, it's going to be discounted. You got a discount. If you see a stated rate that is more than the market rate, what's going to happen? Everybody wants it, there's going to be a premium. Hey, you made it.
Yeah, let's go.
So you doing a review of these guys this weekend? No. You had to work or something.
Good. Sunday?
Are you working all weekend?
No.
Oh, well, how come you didn't schedule one?
I had some other things to take care of this weekend.
Oh, well, Grant might do one instead if you want. Talk to Grant. You guys can connect. You are. You are. Why don't you introduce yourself? And have you guys been working with this guy? Yeah, is he any good? Oh, yeah, that's kind of nice people. I know where shit. But you guys go ahead. I put that on tape too. So go ahead and introduce yourself. You're being taped now. So say something really impressive.
I'm Jack Hagen. I'm going to be a sophomore here at Bellarmine. Took Keith's 101 class last summer, and it ended up getting me an internship at GE. And now I'm starting all my 300 level classes.
Are you learning anything at GE?
Learning that all of our systems are outdated.
Yeah, that's true. Where are you working? What are you doing for?
I'm doing retail finance for buying groups and independents throughout the northeast and southeast regions.
Cool. Do they pay you for this?
Can you please pay?
Yeah. If they pay you, okay. No. Yeah. But, and you're in the 300 level classes now, are you really?
Starting tax.
Done with 212?
Yeah.
Yeah. 313 in the fall or 313 now?
313 in the fall, 317 in the spring.
You do summer leadership stuff or you're not quite there yet?
No, actually Ryan Blaine ended up getting a position at PwC, so I'm going to try to transition there next summer.
Okay, cool.
But
Price Waterhouse Group is it?
one of the big four.
How old are you?
19.
All right. Starting slow. So why'd you come in here and just say hi? Are you telling me?
You requested my services. You requested I can't say
You're supposed to do it the first week of class. Now that we're almost done, way to go.
First week of
So
class
when
was
you're doing a review, why don't you and Grant do one together and then you can individually help people? Yeah, anyways.
I
So
don't know if he's available.
there will be an email coming out that either Grant or you or somebody, not me, on Sunday probably. How many of you would come on Sunday to review, get ready for the test on Monday? Would somebody do it? Yeah, it's always a really good strategy. I know it seems ridiculous to take the Sunday to do that, but there's probably no way they'll do it Saturday. Just be my son. Probably be Sunday sometime. It's easy to get a room on Sunday. Thanks for doing it. That's great. Did you skip work for this? You didn't, did you?
No, I'm actually getting paid for this, so it's alright.
You're getting paid by
My boss.
Oh, in the tutoring center?
No, my GE.
chat.
That's true. My department's 3% of the company, and we make 10 billion in revenue a year.
It's kind of big. He's over there, Steve Cake. Have you ever met Steve yet?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. You work around Steve at all?
Yeah, I interact with Steve monthly. He takes special care of me since he's an elemental alum.
Yeah, he's doing fairly well in his career.
Yeah, he just moved up to controllership, so he got a nice little raise.
How old do you think he is? I can't remember.
It's like 27 or 28.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Looks like he's 80, but
You what?
looks like he's a lot older than that.
Well, yeah, that's because he works out so much. And then, yeah, and then he lives kind of in a fast lane a little bit. He tells me about his vacation. Yeah, places he goes out.
We got a vacation coming up ourselves.
You get a vacation?
Yeah. Sending the interns out to Cincinnati for a week.
That's for work. They're gonna pay you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't get any. I might just go to Fort Myers and stay in some condo. Yeah. Talk to my dad again. Anyway, thanks for coming by.
Yep,
Good to see
no problem.
you. Thanks for doing this summer. That's always useful.
I get paid for it, so it's fine.
That's minimum wage. So, yeah.
Gas
Yeah. Gas. See you later. Thanks. Get an email out to them for this weekend. Yeah, okay. He's doing all right. Learning something. So how many of you have taken advantage of it? Boy, that's not enough. So anyway, oh well. Free tutoring, but I don't want any. Yeah. Only people who aren't good students need to go ask for help, right? Only people who don't know what they're doing ever ask their boss a question, right? So people are really good never ask questions. Oh boy, you trouble if you think that's true. My kids are that way. Well, I'd never go to the tutoring center. Laugh. Yeah, you will. I'd never go talk to a professor. Because if you have to go talk to a professor, sure, you don't really know what you're doing, right? Oh, good. That's great. You already knew it. Why would you take the class? What might you want? Okay, anyway, so let's do a bond where we have a premium, huh? So let's do a bond. You know the piece of paper? How big should we make the bond? How much? We did 100,000 last time. Come on. How much? 120. Now let's do 200 so the numbers come out even. Okay, $200,000 face amount, right? What does that mean? The face amount, principal, that's the amount that's going to be what? Paid at the end. That's it, right? That's going to be paid at the end no matter what it's issued for. That's paid at the end. It's not the amount that it's going to be issued for unless what? The market rate and the stated rate are the same. Right, guys? That's it. It won't be issued for that amount. That's the face amount. Okay, so that's a piece of paper, by the way, that little square there. Like a piece of paper. Okay, anyway, so what else do we need to know about the bond? We need to know the face amount, maybe the stated interest rate. What rate should we use? I don't know. How about 5%? That'd be good. Okay? What else do we need to know? 5%? I'm going to get a premium? Boy, I got to go low, don't I? That's all right. Okay, and we want annual, semi-annual, whatever it is. We'll make it semi-annual. If it's annual, you guys, just leave the periods whatever they are and leave the interest rate whatever it is on the bond, right? And on the effective or yield rate, leave it what it is. Semi-annual, you have to adjust. Okay, 4%. All right, what else do we need?
How long will it?
How long? Yeah. So, maybe 10-year. We have 20 periods in the present value tables, right? Do we need to know anything else about it? No, but that's company name and stuff. Okay. So, is that it? Need a market rate. Do we need anything else on the bond first? No, I don't. Let's do 10 years from now. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so we need a market rate. Market or yield or effective rate. And that's not printed on the bond because it changes every day, right? How much is that? I want it to be sold for a premium. I want people to like 5%. What must be the case? It's less, right? It's something less, right? The market expects less, they're going to like 5. So what, 4% maybe? 2% on the table? Do we have 1.5% of the data? No. Besides, that would be pretty low market rate. Okay, anyway, that 4 is real low. Okay, so interest rates are real low and this company's real strong. Okay, obviously. Okay, so they got printed on the bonds 5%. The market only wants 4. Calculate its present value. Go. Do it. Figure out how much interest changes hands. How many times? Right? That's basically stated rate, face amount. And discounted it. How much are you going to discount it at? 4% or? Nah, that's semi-annual. So what discount rate? 2%. Absolutely. Not 10 periods. How many? They pay interest semi-annually. How many semi-annual periods for 10 years? 20. Right? 20 periods, 2% discount. How much interest is there? 5% a year. That's $10,000 a year, right? But it's only it's twice a year, so it's only half of that, right? Everybody agree? So it's $5,000. That's the number. 5,000 twice a year. 10 years. 5,000. 20,000. Calculate. Add them together. And we'll know the present value. By the way, you guys, nobody gets to be much older than me at 27 years old. It's ridiculous. That's really good. He was such a little nerd in school. Oh my gosh. But he girls taught that at the same time. Everybody thought he was going to do very well. Some of the faculty blew him away in their classes and stuff. I just laughed. It's like, he's pretty good. I had him a one-on-one. He's okay. He'll be fine. So. Somebody getting hired that. That's amazing. I mean, for a career position. He's 19, you gotta have a career position, but I think, yeah, crazy. Crazy. Everybody got a value? Yes. Should by now easily. Okay, so what do we got?
$259,016.26.
So we'll round it. 259,216 sound good? Everybody have it? Is that a no? Yes? That's unanimous. Everybody in the room has that number. There's no's? Okay, then we'll do it. Otherwise, see, here's the deal. You get an intermediate with me and I say, does everybody have it? If nobody says anything, I do something else. Got it? Okay. That might be the wrong number. Somebody just threw it out. How many people have that number? A number of you have that number. How many have 259,216? One? Ah, do we have different numbers? Let's try another one. I don't know what the number is. What is it? Who has a number?
134,594.
You're really a bright guy, and I think that answer is ridiculous. Why is it ridiculous?
Should be above.
Think about it once you do your calculation. It's got to be more than what? 200. Ah, you did something wrong. Okay? And the nice thing is if you realize it's got to be more than 200 as a premium, you won't make that mistake. Okay? Got it? Something went wrong here, right? Remember, you've got the principal and the interest. Don't just value one or the other.
I got 216,357.
216. This is a nice exercise, you guys, because it's harder than you think, right? 357. I didn't insult you with that, did I? I'm sure. All right. 216, 357. Right? By the way, to not be consulted or insulted or intimidated by that, what do you have to have? Confidence. It's okay. You can make mistakes. It's no big deal. You don't have to hide them. You don't have to apologize for them. You just have to work your ass off. You'll be fine. Okay? Really, I'm serious. People will respect you if you do that. You know what? That one looks better to me than the 259 because the 259 seems kind of big. The difference between 5 and 4%, right? That's what we're talking here. Does anybody else have 216, 357? This is terrible. Oh, you do? We have a whole two people? Okay, let's learn how to calculate this. What am I going to expect you to be able to do? When are we doing this quiz?
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Okay. When are we doing the present value test? You know, the test that includes present values, which is what this is. Monday. Do you guys know how to do this stuff? No. Is it really surprising that you don't know how to do it? Of course it's not. You're learning how right now. Oh. You don't come in already knowing how to do it, you guys. You have to work. You got to figure it out. And you already know that. But don't let it up. Come on. Grab it and figure it out. How do I do this? Okay. So maybe it's 216, 357. I don't know. We'll find out here. Okay? Maybe it's 259, but I don't think so. Let's see what we get. Okay? How do you calculate it, you guys? What do I have? I have a future value, lump sum. When is it going to be? How many periods? 20 periods from now. How much is that? 200 grand. Everybody agree? What would I like to know? How much it's worth right now, which is called a what? Present value. Excellent. What's the interest rate? 2%. You got it. 0.02. 2%, right? Yeah, 2%. Absolutely. What's the number of periods again? We already said it was 20, right? Does everybody know why it's 20 periods? 10 years, 2 payments a year, right? Right? And 2 6-month periods per year. You know what you want to look at. Okay, does everybody know why it's 2% discount? The market is 4. It's twice a year. I'm compounding. So what's half of 4? 2. Okay, good. So this is 1 over 1.02 raised to the 20th. Go to your present value table if you want, or use your calculator, either way, right? What is 2%, 20 periods, on the present value of the sum? What's that factor? What's each one of those dollars worth right now? 0.6730. Excellent. Take that times 200,000, what do you get? 134.6, is that what it is? All right, excellent. Okay, this is not hard, you guys. Okay, then what? What do I have? Interest. How much is the interest? It's 5% a year, right? But only 2.5% every 6 months. Everybody agree? On 200,000. What's 200,000 times 2.5%? 10. What's 10? I think that's 200,000 times 5%. 10 would be a whole year, wouldn't it? So what's half a year? 5,000, half of the 10, right? You can do it that way. You can take 5% times 200,000, get 10,000, and say, oh, but it's twice a year. That would be a whole year. So it's 5. Or you can take the 5%, divide by 2, and you got 2.5%. Take 2.5%, 0.025, right? Times 200,000, what do you get? 5,000. You calculate it either way. It's 5,000. So what it's going to be is an annuity payment. Why is it an annuity, you guys?
Regular payments every year.
Yeah, exact same payments every year, and we assume the interest rate doesn't change, right? The interest rate is what it is now, I guess, right? Because we don't know if interest rates are going up or down. By the way, if you knew if interest rates are going up or down, you could cap, and you always knew, you could capture all the wealth in the world because nobody else knows. You can place bets on it. People do in the market. So if you know what's going to happen to interest rates next, wow. And people do guess what's going to happen, and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Place bets on it in the market, right? Really? Okay. So, but anyway, it's an ordinary annuity payment because it's the beginning of the period. Would everybody agree with that? So it's ordinary, but that's the only table we have anyway. How big is the payment?
5,000.
5,000. How many of them are there? This is always a good idea to do. 20. How many dollars is that? That's 100,000. 10 years, $10,000 a year is 100,000, right, guys? 20 payments of 5,000 is 100,000. Okay, so this bond is going to pay off how much at the end? 200 of face amount plus, right? And then how much is it going to pay during the term of the bond? Interest payments totaling 100,000. It's going to pay back 300,000, no matter what you pay for it. Everybody agree? Okay. Isn't it going to pay back 300,000? Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so that's worth, the principal's worth 134. What do we do with this annuity payment? I've got an interest rate of how much? What do you think, you guys? Still 2%, of course. Number of periods? It's 20. Yeah, absolutely, it's 20. We know what we're doing. So then I would look up the present value of that ordinary annuity, wouldn't I? What's that factor? 16.3514, and you take that times the 5,000. Remember, that's 20 factors added up, right, guys? 20 factors added up, and that's at 2%. Okay. So what's 5,000 times 16.3514? 81,757. Add the two together, and you know what the whole thing is worth, right? This is what the cash at the end is worth. This is what the annuity stream is worth, right? Interest, right? Which is an annuity. How much does that add up to? 357. Is that the number we had before? It is, isn't it? If you didn't get that, you're in trouble. Okay? Which is almost everybody. Gonna work on this. You guys got some work to do. Okay. And are we gonna have another weekend before we do the quiz on this stuff? We don't, do we? For the quiz on this? Monday we're doing a test. When are we doing this quiz? Wednesday. I'm not kidding. We're gonna have to do that. Right? We gotta go on. Oh, I gave you a break, remember? You didn't stop because I gave you a break on the test. Did you keep doing the material? Oh, was it a break? Well, yeah. Not a break, like I gave you some special considerations. I gave you some time to get ready. You gotta keep going, okay? So you guys have a big weekend ahead of you. Big weekend. Don't just get ready for the test. Do this too. And by the way, if you do this calculation right here, you're getting ready for the test, aren't you? And you never know with me, I might on the test have you calculate the value of the bond. Why not? How? It's just a present value calculation, isn't it? Is this just a present value calculation? You guys agree? It is, isn't it? Okay, so this time, what do I mean it's sold for a premium? What's the face on this thing? 200,000. What did it sell for? 316,357. All right, let's do the journal entries, you guys. Let's do them. What do you want to do? And we'll do them for both sides, just like we did last time, right? For the when we were doing a discount. Okay. So let's do. Okay, the people who sell the bond. What are they called? Three things they could be called. One, seller. Okay. I heard issuer out there. Excellent. Lender? I think they're borrowers. Yeah. Which side are we on? Good. Lender's the one who gives us the money, right? Borrower's the one who gets the money. Seller gets the money. Issuer gets the money. Got the idea? Gets the cash. Excellent. So the other side would be what? I heard buyer. Lender, I heard. Good. And investor. Excellent. So if they give you any of those terms, don't let it bother you. Big deal. That's what they are. It's business terminology here, it's all. Right, guys? It's not accounting. Business. Okay, so let's do our journal entries for both sides. Okay, so let's say January 1st is issued and they're going to pay the payments June 30th and December 31st. We could make it more complicated, but I won't. Okay, for now we'll leave it like this. It's bad enough. Get you guys started. Okay, what do you want to record at the date of issuance? What happened to the issuer?
They receive cash.
They received cash. You want to debit it? I do. How much? What was the number? That's how much cash. You sold it for 200? We just calculated what we sold it for. Okay? It's not that early, you guys. Come on. Okay, 216. More like how much can I learn in 8 weeks, huh? Geez, my brain's gonna explode. Okay, 216 what? 257, excellent. 357. Not excellent. Here we go. That was weird. Okay. All right, 216, 357. All right. Guess how much the people that lend the money, that invest, that buy it, how much cash are they going to give up? Yeah, let's not get too fancy, huh? Same thing. Excellent. Okay, gang. Give me the rest of the journal entry. What would the issuer record? They now have a what? Bond payable. They're not going to have a discount this time. Do the bond payable and the cash first, and then look at it. How much is the bond payable going to be? By convention, we put it in there at what? Face amount. Therefore, the 200,000. Excellent. I don't have a discount, do I? I sold it for more than the face. What do I have? Something sold for more than the face amount. You got a premium. Excellent. Okay, so this premium, we're going to call cleverly premium. Got it? Discounts we call cleverly discounts. Premiums we call premiums. Counting's hard, isn't it? Yeah, figure that out. People always ask me, how do I name things? I don't know, call it what it is. That'd be good. Okay, I told you guys that real early, didn't I? Okay, so premium on what, guys? Bonds payable, because that's what it is. Guess what kind of account that is? Not a contra liability, because it's got a credit. It's an additional liability. We call it an addendum, right? Addendum, add-on liability. So the real liability, how much did I really borrow? 216,537, or 357. 216,357, right, guys? I just put it in two different accounts here. That's all. What am I going to do with that premium over the life of the bond? Amortize it to what? Interest expense. I'm going to have less interest expense. Would you agree that if I borrow 216,357 and I only pay 300,000, that the amount of interest, that's what I did, right? I borrowed 216,357. I am going to pay 200,000 principal back at the end, and I'm going to pay 100,000 of interest, right? Take 300,000 less 216,357, and what do you get? What is that? 83,643, something like that. What's that?
183,643.
Excellent. What is that? It's the interest. Everybody got it? But how much cash am I going to pay in interest? 100,000. So what do I have to do? My interest expense has got to be less by 16,357, because it is, right? They only borrowed 217,000 or 216,000. They're only going to pay them back 300. The difference is the interest. It is, okay? And we're going to use this effective interest method to spread it across, just like with the discount. Okay, same deal. So don't fall into memorizing this. Understand it, guys. Okay, it'll really pay off. And I know it's hard to get your head around it. Okay, what would we do on the other side? By convention, we don't set up a separate premium account. We just leave the premium in the same account where the whole investment is. What account do we call that? What do we do when it was a discount, you guys? What do we call it? When we invest in a bond, we call it investment in bonds. And it'll be investment in held to maturity bonds, okay? Held to maturity bonds. The reason it's held to maturity is we think we're going to keep this to maturity, right? Oh, I did it again. 216,357. That's a debit, that's a credit, right, guys? Okay? I should have my credit for the right. Okay, good. 6 months go by. What's going to happen? They're going to pay interest. Excellent. Doesn't matter if it's sold for a discount or a premium, you pay interest. How much interest did we say there was? Cash. 5,000. Who pays the interest? Probably the people who borrowed the money, right? So what do? The issuer. Excellent. What would happen to the people that are that invested in it? I bet they get the cash. What do you bet? You guys good on this? This is going to be a debit over here. This one's going to be a credit. Credit there, debit there. Yeah! On each set of books, right? We're going to see different companies here. All right, why do you receive the cash if you're the issuer? Or, I'm sorry, why do you pay out the cash if you're the issuer?
You know,
Because you owe it to them. Why do you owe it to them?
that's your cost.
You got the use of their money, and that's the cost of using the money, and we call that cost interest. Careful. We're using it. Yeah, we're using it up. Interest what? And it's got to be a debit, so that'll help you remember it's an expense too. How much is the interest expense? You got to calculate it. So let's calculate it. What's the carrying amount of the bond? Careful. I got bond payable with 200,000 in it, right, guys? That's this one. What else do I have? Premium on bonds payable. How much is in that one? So before I do anything, what's my carrying value of this bond? How much did I borrow? How much cash did you get? 216,357, right? That's what you borrowed. That's what you have to pay interest on. What's the carrying value over here? Let's do it this way. Investment in bonds, right? Held maturity bonds. What do I have in here? 216,357. Is everybody with me? It's true, isn't it? It's 216,357 over here. It's 216,357 over here. Same deal, it's opposite sides. So how much interest are you going to have? You're going to take 216,357, which is the carrying value at that point, right? Times what? What do we discount at? 4% a year was our effective or yield rate. So what do we discount at since it was semi-annual? 2%. So guess what you should compound at? Done unravel the deal. 2%. It's 2% interest, right? Every 6 months. Don't use the 2.5% that was our stated rate, right? Okay? So what's that number? How much?
43.27 and 14 cents.
Okay, so we'll just round it. In real life, of course, you would. 43.27? What do you think the interest expense is? 4,327. What's it going to be on the other side? Now that I screwed up and didn't leave myself enough room.
Interest revenue, 43.27.
I'll move it down a little bit here. You think it's interest revenue? I do too. So what I would have, why does it go so far? What I would have then on June 30th is debit cash for the 5,000. And I heard somebody say I earned interest revenue. That's why they paid me interest, is because I earned it, right guys? They have the cost, I have the revenue. They have the expense, I have the revenue. I have the earnings. Yeah, so that's going to be 4,327 in there. Well, now you got to make these journal entries balance. What do I need? What do I need over here? I need a debit, don't I? How much? 5,000 less 4,327. What is that?
673.
Excellent. You know what? It's going to be 673 here too. It's a miracle. Of course it is. Okay? What's the 673? I am amortizing what? Premium. See, my real interest expense is less than the cash. You know why? Because I've got that premium of 16,357 that's not, right? It's not repaying debt when I pay that money back to them at the end, right? What is it? Really less interest. They're paying me too much interest, right? The people who are paying the interest are paying too much interest, right? According to what the market demanded. So I'm not going to change the bond, so instead what do? I have to pay more for the bond because they're going to pay me too much interest, basically. If I'm borrowing the money, I get to borrow more than the face amount of the bond because I'm going to pay too much interest based on face amount. That's all that's happening. Okay? So what's the debit going to go to? What do I want to get rid of? That premium. Sure, I want to get rid of this premium. Debit premium on bonds paid. Excellent. Okay, what are we going to credit over here, do you suppose? I don't have a premium as a separate account, but I still have the premium. Where is it, you guys? The premium is included in this 216,357. It's exactly 16,357, right? So what do I want to do? Get it out of there. Over the 20 payments. It's going to work great. Okay? So investment in held to maturity bonds goes away. Gradually goes away. All right.
Tell me what the carrying value is now. This 673 comes out of here, doesn't it? Okay, what's 16,357 less 673?
15,684.
15,684. So it looks like it's 215,684. Everybody agree with that? That's the new carrying value starting the next 6 months. What is it over here? What's 216,357 less 673? I'm a math whiz. Look at this. No, I'm not. What did I do? It's got to be the same as this side. That's true, isn't it? 216,357 less 673. Is that 215,684? Yeah. Do the next two. Go. Do the next two payments. Do December 31st of this year and June 30th next year. Do them both. They're going to have different interest expense, different interest revenue, but it's the same calculation, isn't it? It's the same journal, you just do different numbers. Yes, sir. Question.
Oh, this isn't like depreciation where like as it keeps going down, then that's what they sell it for also.
No. This isn't depreciation. On depreciation, that's not necessarily what we sell it for. We guess maybe a salvage value what we'll sell it for at the end. But we don't really know what we're selling for, right?
That's what I was thinking like.
This is not the same thing. No. This is just getting the correct interest expense each year. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to record the right amount in interest expense every period, and therefore the right amount on the liability too every period. At the end of each year when I do a financial statement, and then at the end I want to get rid of that premium or discount because you can't be there anymore because at the end you just pay the face amount. So that's what the amortization is about. Was that kind of?
Yeah, well, something you said made me think that that's then what you would sell it for, then, like 600.
No. You know what I'd sell it for if I sold the bond, private investment in it? It's market value. Based on what happened in interest rates changing, right? Oh, and also time going by, because each time an interest payment's paid, there's less cash coming in the future. So when you calculate its discounted present value, guess what? It's less after every payment's been made, because you don't get that payment, right? That makes sense? Yeah. The closer it gets to the end, it gets closer to the face amount, because there's less time for interest, and there's fewer interest payments. That makes sense? But then also interest rates changing varies that too. Okay. Good. Very good. Good question. This should be quick, you guys. Got it all set up. You guys got it? Got it? To increase? No. 5 ahead and do it. All right, at 12/31, December 31st, at the end of the first year, the people who issued the bond, what's going to happen to them? They're going to receive what?
Cash.
Cash. It's always going to be how much?
5,000.
5,000. Absolutely true, right? And they're receiving the cash. Whoops, they're paying out the cash. Wrong side. Thank you. Whoops. No, I'm not confused. Okay. So they pay out the cash. They borrow the money. They have to pay the interest. Okay? Why do they pay it out? Because they have interest is what? Expense. Absolutely. Okay? How about the people that invested? What happens to them, of course? They receive the cash, don't they? Why do they receive the cash? Because they earned interest revenue. Let's calculate the interest expense and the interest revenue. What do we do? What's the carrying value of this thing right now?
215,600.
You got it. 215,684. 215,684. Let's take 215,684 times what?
2%.
Why are you using 2%?
That's market value.
That's the market rate that we discounted at. If you discounted at that, you better compound at that or you won't unravel the deal, right? 215,684 times 2%, how much was that?
4,313.
4,313. Where does that go? Interest expense, of course, and interest revenue, of course, right? We just calculated it. That's why we calculated it. So we know what it is. What do you want to do with the difference? How much is the difference?
686.
687. What is that? This is going to be what? Get rid of that premium, right? More of the premium goes away. 687, more of the premium is going away. Debit premium on bonds payable. Right, guys? Okay. What's going to happen here?
The investment.
Yeah, the investment's going away. The investment held to maturity goes away. So we're going to take 687 more out of here. It's gradually going down to what, by the way, after we do it 20 times? This is going to go down to what if we do it 20 times? Amortize 20 times. 200,000 exactly, right? That's what we're doing. Okay? So this is going to be investment held to maturity. Excellent. Held to maturity bonds. Okay. What's the new carrying value over here? 214 what? 988. Okay. That is no, right? 87.
997.
997. 214,997. Let's do it over on this side. What happens to your premium to the bond issuer? 15,684 less 787 is what? 14,997, is it? So we got 200 plus 14,987 is the carrying value. All right. Did you do the next one? No problem, right? It'd be June 30th of the second year. We just keep doing this over and over. 20 times. We're not going to do that. What happens? I bet they pay interest. Credit cash, 5,000. I bet they receive interest. Debit cash, 5,000. You can celebrate it by having used several of these. 3 points. Okay. Why are they paying it out? Because they incurred interest expense. Am I right? Why the issuer pays out the interest. Okay. Why is the investor receiving cash? Because they earned interest. It's interest revenue, right, guys? All we got to do is figure out how much. Am I right? How much? What's the carrying value we said? 214,997. 214,997. Let's calculate it. 214,997 times what, guys? You discounted at what? 2%. What do you want to compound at? 2%, the same thing, right? The effective rate. What's 214,997 times 0.02?
4,300.
How much?
4,300.
Exactly?
Yep. Well, it's 42.99 and 94 cents.
That'll be 4,300. Sounds great to me. It always sounds funny when it comes out even, doesn't it? It has as much probability as any other number coming up, of course. Okay? 4,300. Okay? So my interest expense is going to be 4,300. My interest revenue is gonna be 4,300. What's the difference? This one's easier, huh? 700. What are we doing? We're amortizing the premium, right? And there's premium on both sides, right? More than 200 on both sides, premium. So let's debit that premium, same as here, over and over. This time, 700. Over here, what are you gonna do? On the investor. Gotta bring that investment held to maturity bonds down by 700, just like you're bringing this premium down by 700 over here. Yeah, investment in held to maturity bonds. Just keep going, right? Okay, guys. Can you get the new carrying value and take it times 2%? Do that? And over and over and over. Sure. Okay, at the end, done the whole thing, right? Okay. You've amortized it to 0. You've got all 20 interest payments come in. What is the carrying value of the bond at that point in both books? 200,000. Investment in bonds is 200,000 on one set of books, right? And bond payable with no premium left, premium 0 is 200,000. Pay it off at the end. The issuer, they pay it off. What do they pay it with? Cash. Credit cash, how much? 200,000. Debit what? Bond payable for 200. It's gone. The deal's over, right? Okay. What would happen on the investor's side? I bet they received the cash. What would they do? Debit cash. What would they credit? What don't they have anymore? Investment held to maturity bonds. Yes. We're all the way there. Notice one thing too. On the discount, as you amortize the discount, what happens is you have borrowed more and more because your interest is more than the cash you're paying out, right? So what happens to the next period's interest expense if you borrow it more? It goes up. As you amortize the discount, your interest expense every period goes up. What happened here? What happened to their interest expense every period? It's going down. Why? Because you're paying off some of that amount that you borrowed, right? You borrowed 216,000, not 200. You're gradually paying it off, right? So your interest expense is less than the cash you're paying. The extra cash is to pay back that portion you borrowed. That's the theory of it. Okay, guys? Get your head around this stuff, be able to do it. Okay, let's do one more thing with bonds, and then we'll go on a little bit to the next chapter. Okay? Equity. Let's do this. How about if I have this on my books? I have a bond payable that was $100,000. I have a discount on the bond. Bond payable. Okay. That is $9,000 left. What's my carrying value of the bond? $91,000. Okay. Now, I find out that I could retire this bond for, I want to retire it, okay? So I retire it, let's do two different ways. One is I retire it, which means buy it back, right? I buy it in the market, buy my own bond, I retired it. I don't owe the money anymore. I can't invest in my own bond, so I don't owe it anymore if I buy it back. So let's retire for $92,000. And then in B, let's retire for $87,000. What happens to interest rates if I have to pay more for it? Careful. Interest rates if I have to pay more. Everybody answer. Went higher, didn't it? Because what? If I pay more. You believe that? Interest rates go higher. And I discounted a higher discount rate. Cash flows stay the same. Interest rates go higher. A higher discount rate with the same cash flows. Is the present value more or less if you discount? You have more interest you take out. I think the present value is less. Value goes down as interest rates go up. Isn't that true? If the market rate is more than the stated rate, what happens? It sells for a discount. Oh, if interest rates go up, it goes down in value. Did I say it backwards? What happens, though, if interest rates go down? The value of your bond goes up, right? Right? Okay, so I've had to pay more interest rates went down. Right? Because my interest rate looks good, right? Compared to the new ones. So anyway, so if I got this situation, what would make your own retire the bond, you guys, and just you think about it. I've got this on the books, I've got this on the books, and I'm going to pay out this cash. Come on, write the journal entry. You're going to pay that amount of cash, and you're going to get rid of the bond. Just like if you're selling a piece of equipment, you're getting rid of the accumulated depreciation, isn't it? Take these accounts zero, and record the cash going out. What's your entry? On the first one, what do you want to debit or credit cash for? Credit cash for 92. I agree. Everybody agree with that one? All right, what else do you want to do? What don't you owe anymore? Bond payable. Debit this one for 100,000. Absolutely. This is not hard. Nothing's hard if you understand it, I guess. I need a credit for what? 8,000, but what else do I need to get rid of? Oh, you better get rid of the discount. Get rid of the bond. What are you going to have? Zero bond, less a discount of 9,000 for a negative liability? Somebody owes you 9,000? I don't think so. Right? What are you going to do? Get rid of that discount too. So I got the 100 coming out of here. I got the 9 coming out of here. Everybody agree? Discount on held insured, or discount on bonds payable, I'm sorry. 9,000? Now you tell me, gain or loss? Loss. Okay. Loss on retirement bonds, we call it. The audit showed you that, right? That's all it is. Big deal. Okay, that would be a loss. And why isn't my bond worth more? Because interest rates went down. Because interest rates went down, I sold it and it was a loss, or I bought it back and it was a loss. Like screwy, doesn't it? It is. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, way it works out though. What about retire for 87,000? Anybody want to credit cash for 87,000? What else do you want to do? Of course, because you don't have the bond payable anymore. It's the same thing.
Credit discount payable for 9,000.
Discount on bonds payable. You got it.
Credit pay gain of 4,000.
Yeah, because that's only 86, so I need 4 more, don't I? Or 96 rather. I need 4 more. Gain on bond retirement. You know, look, I have a gain because I got rid of a bond where interest rates had gone up. So I got rid of the bond. Now, here's the bad thing about this. Sometimes people will intentionally sell their bonds to get a gain like this, even though interest rates have gone up. So you got your bond at a low interest rate. You buy back your bond, show a gain in your financial statements, and borrow the money at a higher interest rate. You get to show a gain now, but you have more interest expense later. What do you think? Not a good business decision, right? You don't want to retire low interest debt and then issue high interest debt, but people actually do that sometimes to make their financial statement look better. If the company's in trouble, right? They're worried about what the stock market might think or the shareholders might think, right? So they try this little game. You've got to watch for that kind of stuff. If there's a gain on retirement of bonds, they better not have borrowed the money then, right? Because if they borrow the money to retire the bond, they're now paying higher interest than they had to pay. That's not a good business decision. Would you ever pay off, if you owed $100,000 to somebody at 4% interest, would you ever borrow at 6% to pay that one off? No way. No way. You're going to have to pay 6% interest? Why would anybody do that? Okay? You would never do that. But because of this accounting thing that comes out, then I don't know what else to do about it, right? It is a gain or a loss on the deal there, right? Because of the way it works out, sometimes people are tempted to do that. So you watch for that. Okay? By the way, it's kind of sad that you get a loss when you made a good decision, right? The interest rate was high, so you paid it off. You had the cash and got rid of it, right? It shows a loss even though you made a good business decision. Oh well. Okay. All right, gang. Let's take a few minutes and let's do some stuff with stock. You already know a whole bunch of this. Let's issue. We even talked a little bit about par and stated value, didn't we? Okay. We'll issue some stock here. let's say that we authorize the company. You read this chapter, right? Maybe not everybody, but boy, I sure would have. So we authorize 1 million shares of stock. What does that mean? Whoops, not dollars, shares. We authorize 1 million shares of stock. What does that mean for us?
But you have those available to sell.
Yeah, that's it. I have 1 million shares available to sell. That's all it means. I filed articles of incorporation with a state, asked them if I could do business. What is the state going to say if somebody asks them if they can do business in their state? They can say yes unless you're a felon. That's basically it, right? You swindled people before or something. Yeah, they're going to say yes. New jobs, new business activity, sure. They're going to say yes. And they're going to give you permission to issue the stock you want to issue. Okay? So yeah, that's it. So how many shares are outstanding now if I have permission to issue 1 million? How many are outstanding? 0. I haven't issued any. So the ones I've issued are the ones that are outstanding unless I buy them back. So this is just common sense. So authorized is how many I have the right to issue. Okay? Authorized. Look at a D on it, I guess. Okay? Issued are the ones that I've sold. And when I say sold, it's not sales, right? It's contributed capital by the owners and the company receives the contribution. Okay? So, let's say I have issued, well, I've issued none now. Let's say we make a journal entry, though, now, and we'll issue 200,000 of those. How many would be unissued after we issue 200? Yeah, be able to answer these questions for me. Okay, that's real tough stuff, huh? Authorized 1 million, issued 200,000. You probably haven't issued, unissued, 800,000. But there's one other thing we're going to have, and they talk about it in the chapter. Treasury stock. What's treasury stock? Can't spell it. What's treasury stock? It's how many you bought back. So maybe we'll buy back 5,000 of those. Okay, guys? All right. Now, we got another term called outstanding, and these just make sense, right? Here's the deal. Authorizes how many I have the right to sell. Issued are all the ones I've ever issued. Treasury stock are all the ones I've bought back. If you might not have treasury stock, of course, right? You don't have to buy it back. But you're buying back your own stock in the stock market. That's not an investment. You can't invest in yourself. Wouldn't it be cool if you get rich investing in yourself? I'm going to invest $5 in myself and sell it to myself for $1 million and be a millionaire. What do you think? No. You don't need to do that. By the way, there's some really famous fraudulent people who did that. The Enron fiasco, it's kind of like that. Right? They were doing that kind of stuff, doing business with themselves, making good profits. Yeah, right. Not making any money. Right? You and I can set up a business and sell stuff back and forth between the two of us. What do you think? There's one company, no wealth really transfers, and you get rich. And no, they don't. Okay. Nothing happened. All right, anyway, how many would be outstanding in this situation? If you bought back 5 of the 200 that you had issued. 195. And that's it, guys. That's all there is to this. So we need to know how many are outstanding. Now, if you start paying dividends, if you're doing a cash dividend or a stock dividend, you read about those? Cash, you should give them cash. Stock, you should give them shares of stock. Usually we do that when we don't have the cash, right? People might be. There might be good reasons for that. We'll talk about that next time. Okay? But it might make some sense. Okay? It might work. But anyway, who are we going to give shares to? Ourselves or other people? Other people. So which is it going to be? Are we going to give it to the authorized, all the authorized? Well, no, 800,000 of those I'm holding, right? There's only 200 that were issued. I'm going to give it to every single one that was issued? No, because I'm holding the treasury stock, that stock I bought back. So how many are out there with shareholders? Outstanding. 195,000. Who's going to get a cash dividend? Those 195,000, of course. Who's going to get a stock dividend? Those 195. Now, a stock split's different. A stock split is what happens is your stock price keeps going higher and higher and higher and higher. Imagine what Microsoft would be selling for if they never split up their stock. Because it just multiplies in value over and over and over. It would be probably hundreds of thousands, maybe it gets into the millions per share if it never split. Okay? Kind of expensive to buy a share with.
So is that like why in our book it was showing like Apple was $600 in stock, but now it's only like 91?
Yeah. Yeah, so it could be real high and then it could go down. Why? They split it. What if they do a 10-for-1 split? What if my stock's selling for $600 and I do a 10-for-1 split? It'll probably go down to 60, right? But we also have 10 times as many shares. Okay, got the idea? So everything shifts by 10. Okay, that's different than a stock dividend. A stock dividend, you give them a small number of shares, and you hope the price doesn't completely adjust, which you're really after. So it's a real dividend. Okay, yeah.
So is that a loss for the shareholders?
No, there's no loss. You still own the same percentage of the company. Maybe I used to own 1,000 shares, and now they give me 10,000 shares. Right? Let's say I owned 1,000 out of 100,000. Right? Okay. So I own 1/100 of the company. But now there's 1 million shares, but I own 10,000. I still own 1/100 of the company. Got it? Yeah. So it's just fine. What does that do for you? Well, let's say the stock gets up to $20 a share, and you do a 10-for-1 split, it brings it down to 2. Believe it or not, people like to buy more shares than less. Now, if it gets up to, $1 million a share, you can't sell them, right? So they'll obviously have to split. But we'll split, even if the stock gets up maybe around $100 a share, you might do a split. Why? It makes it a small number. No, not penny stocks, that's different. It makes it a small number. Penny stocks are companies that are broke, right? You're gambling, you buy it, hoping it'll recover. Probably they're going to go under, right? But you can make money doing that too, but it's real risk. It's real risk. You're gambling, okay? But what's happening with the stock split is now, let's say it was, what did I say, $100 a share? Do a 10-for-1, now it's $10 a share. You might get people to buy more at $10 a share, believe it or not. Not just more shares, but more in total. Invest more in total. So people like to have a lot of shares, even though they didn't pay very much per share. It doesn't make any sense. But the market's kind of like that. And you can see when it gets really high, if the stock costs $1 million a share, I can't afford a share, can you? But if the same company, it would have cost $1 million a share, like Microsoft, to sell for $20 a share, because they split so many times over the years. What do you think? Yeah, I can afford $20 a share. I might be 500 of them, huh? Or 1,000 of them or something, right? Got the idea? Okay. All right, so this is pretty straightforward, huh? All right, then there's another thing you got to get down. We talked about this a little bit before. Par or stated value you read about. By the way, if you have not read this chapter yet, while you're getting ready for your test over the weekend, what do you need to do? Read it. If you haven't read the bond chapter yet, I guess you just decided to take the class again in the fall. I don't know. Kind of scary if you haven't done that. But anyway, yeah. Dig into this thing. Go after it. Make sure that you've got it, right? Because what do we have? How many days we have to go over this thing? Tuesday. You're going to have all your questions on Tuesday, right? You know exactly what you're going to ask me about bonds and about equity. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to give you a quiz on it. And we know the quizzes don't determine your grade, but they kind of help, don't they? You don't want them to be nothing. Right? Plus, you're trying to get this cumulative learning so that when are we doing the test on this stuff? This new chapter. It's another week out after that, right? It's at the end, right? But not very long. We only got 12 days left now. We did this one. 12 days. Come on, you guys. Okay, dig in and go after it. All right, anyway, what's a par or stated value? By the way, we could have no par, too. It depends on the state. Some states say you have to set a par value on the stock. So what you usually do is set a fairly low par value. Fairly small number. For common stock. For preferred stock, you don't care. Preferred stock would be higher. But for common stock, right, we usually set a low par value. Okay? And that way we have more shares, because the par value doesn't really closely relate to how much the stock sells for, but it typically sells for more than par. Okay? So we set it fairly low though. Okay? In other states, they call it a stated value instead of a par value. The par value is in your articles of incorporation, right? You say, I'm going to issue 1 million shares, par value, say, $1, right? Maybe. So in some states, you might have a par value of $1. It doesn't mean you can issue it for $1. It's just a par value. Okay? It's a legal capital requirement is what it's going to be. Okay? So we got $1. And in other states, you do a stated value, right? And where you have a stated value in your articles of incorporation, you don't say anything, but you hold a board of directors meeting, and you establish the stated value, which then you can change, right? Well, you can change the par value, too. You can change the number of shares authorized. What do? file an amended article of incorporation with the state and ask for permission to issue more shares. What are they gonna say? We'd like our business to grow. Do you guys agree? That's what you're asking the state. What are they gonna say? Yes. Okay, so then they'll let you issue more shares. You get permission to do that. Okay? All right, anyway, so par and stated value are basically the same thing. Everybody got the idea? No par just means we don't have one. We don't record it. Now listen to this carefully. When you record stock, you record it at the par or stated value. Okay? That's what goes into common stock. Anything you sell it for over that you issue it for over that, is what? Additional paid-in capital in excess of par. We already did that, didn't we? Okay? So let's say that you're starting a business and you contribute land of $100,000 and you contribute a building of $500,000. We're starting this company with 1 million shares, $1 par. And you contribute cash of $50,000. And you contribute equipment of $150,000. And you exchange that for that 200,000 shares. Okay? 200,000 shares. And let's say, that's the original issue, okay? I'm issuing 200,000 shares. And let's say our par or stated value, either one, whichever state you're in, is $1. Give me the journal entry. I already did the hard part. Debit land, debit building, debit cash, debit equipment. Those are debits. I'm not kidding, right? They're all assets, right? Credit something. That wasn't the hard part, that's common stock. Absolutely, you got it. These are the voting shares of stock, right? Common stock of the company. We'll handle preferred stock separately, okay? That's the preferences. I don't know if it's really better. Preferred makes it sound better. We'll talk about advantages and disadvantages of it. Common stock, what do you got? Yeah, it's 200,000 shares times $1. It's 200,000. Well, what did all those debits to assets total to? Was it 800? Is that what that was? Yeah, looks like it. So guess how much additional paid-in capital in common stock or paid-in capital in excess of par is? Guess how much it is? Additional paid-in capital on common stock or paid-in capital in excess of par. Common stock. How much? 600,000. Ta-da. What did we actually issue the shares for? What do we get per share? It's 200,000 shares. Got $800,000 worth of assets. What is it? $4 a share. You got it. Everybody agree? What's the total equity I just recorded? Those are both equity accounts. Is that easy or what? Easy cake. Okay.
What's the ASP?
Additional paid-in capital in excess of par. I think the author might call it paid-in capital in excess of par. What did he say? Yeah, the additional paid-in capital, common stock, or paid-in capital in excess of par, common stock. That's it. Yeah.
So then you just divide the common stock by all your assets? You get the par back? Or I mean your own?
Oh, to get what it was per share?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 800,000 of assets for 200,000 shares. I just divided the assets by the 200,000 shares. What if I sold it for $4 a share? What would it be? Let it for cash. What would it be? Debit cash for, if it was $4 a share on 200,000 shares, it'd be 800, right? I had debit cash for 800. That'd be the asset I got. What would you credit common stock for? 200. What would you credit additional paid capital for? 600. The fact is, I got 800,000 of assets for par value stock at 200,000. Okay. Usually, we issue them for tax, right? So it doesn't. I just make it down a little more difficult by having a few assets. But you could have any asset contributed to the company you want, right? Doesn't matter, you have to stand. I'll see you guys. You have a wonderful weekend. I'm only screwing up, what, 3 more weekends in July or 2? This weekend, the next weekend, is it just 2 more weekends or 3? No, 3 is it? 3 weekends. I'm only screwing up 3 more weekends and then you get rid of me. Unless you take me for intermediate, then we'll screw up the rest of your life then. Yeah, that's the all. What's that? What about intermediate? One or two next. One or two next. Not bad. Not bad. Did you already do it? You didn't, did you? You were in one last time.
Yeah, I was in one.
You haven't done or two in the fall. 211,
I'm not gonna take this.
come on.
It was like,
It's so much fun.
I don't know, I mean,
Like,
it's not bad.
Yeah, maybe you come back later. Let's see.
I might.